Can you hear my audio? And it's not echoing? Oh, good. So I'll talk instead of typing. I hate typing. Sorry about that. Okay, so we got three animations. Now we're on the tree shake, and I've just kind of been playing around with this, so um, I'll show you what it looks like at the end. I think it looks pretty good. So on the tree shaking, I'm trying to remember. Uh, we had a transform. I think it's rotation. It's position. Let's see. Hang on, I'm going to have to cheat for a second. Okay, it was rotation. So I started off at 0. I think I need a -1 here. Oh, no, -0.1. Then back to 0. 1, 0. And I'm still learning animation, so I'm probably doing this all wrong, but it looks pretty good when you see the end of it. Okay, so we play that. Okay. So we got our three animations now. And it should have made us a animation controller. Let me just shut all this down for now. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so it made our animator. Now once you do that, you go into your animator controller. You want to set this as your default state. Let's see. I'm going to cheat again. I spent so many hours trying to figure this crap out. Okay, so this is basically what we just had. So you got your new state, which you could call this idle if you wanted to. So if you click on this, add the tree standing animation to it. Well, actually, it's going to be the tree falling or the tree standing pine. I made a different one. So you're going to add that there, and just keep the speed at 1. Nothing special there. One thing you got to do is you got to do your parameters here. So for each animation, name it the same thing. So this is tree falling. It's a bull, tree standing, and tree shake. So you need to do that first. So once you put your tree standing there, you make a transition from new state, or you can call that idle, to tree falling. So from idle to tree falling is true. It does have an exit time. Make sure you get that. And then we'll go from tree shake to tree falling. Make that true with an exit time. And on the tree falling animation, I put that at 0.16. That way it's pretty slow and more realistic than just hitting the ground real quick. And then on the tree shake, I just kind of played around with these. I put it at 0.8. It seemed about right. And then from the idle state for the tree shake, has exit time. And of course, when it's going from tree shake to idle, tree shake's going to be false. And then vice versa here. Same thing, no exit time. Tree shake's true. And another thing you need to make sure of, go to your animations. On the tree falling, I didn't have a loop time on it. Or actually, yeah, that's right. Then on the tree shake, what's yours to be called tree shake pine, I did have a loop time on it. And then on the tree standing, there's no loop time on it. That should take care of that part there. Okay, so once you have that done, I'm just going to bring this one up because it'd be easier for me to explain. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this one out of here. Okay, so this is basically what we just went over. All right, so basically on the tree, you're going to have your resource node script. and then your harvest tool. I think most everybody knows how to do this part. I put my harvest time at 8. I'm still getting used to programming, so the int probably would have worked better. So like I said, I put mine on harvest time of 8, and I'll show you why once we get into it. Um, that's pretty much it on that. And then you got to have your coordinated effect. I'll get in to that in a minute. Actually, I can go ahead and go into that. So on this coordinated resource node script, you have the harvest coordinate effect. So that's going to play as soon as you like start chopping the tree or uh, the rocks or whatever you're going to gather. And then the activate coordinate effect, you can do a coordinate effect so when the object respawn, well, it's not respawning, it's actually still there, it's just being activated and deactivated. So when the item is activated again, it can play a coordinated effect there. And then on the deactivate, when you click, when the pop-up comes up for you to gather your resources, when you click that, it'll play another coordinated effect there. That's the way I had it before. When I clicked on it, my logs would show up, which wasn't very realistic. But that's what you can do with those. So if I go to my lumbering, and this will be explained more as I go. So basically, this is going to be my character swinging the axe. So the target's the caster. Just put the animation length at 1. And I didn't use audio here. For some reason, the audio, when I tried to do audio clip on this one, it wouldn't work for some reason. Um, but I did use a particle effect for the wood chips. So like when he's swinging the axe, the wood chips is actually attached to the axe, which I couldn't find a way to attach particles to a target because it's not a mob, which I may be overlooking something, but it still looks halfway decent. But pretty much like on the wood chips, I just took a particle system uh, that I had. I think it had feathers or something in it, and I just put a wood fleck texture in it, and then sized it and everything, so it looked halfway decent. So back to the, so that takes care of the first, and you don't want an activation delay on that because you want it to start as soon as you start. Um, Next thing is I did another one. This is a animation resource node. This is the coordinate animation. This goes along with the resource though, so you can still use it. And I don't even think you have to have the lumbering in on this one. I just put it in there because I didn't know if I was get errors or not. But then pretty much you put your sound clip like the axe. Um, and then you have to try to figure out between the animation and the sound delay to make it look right. You could probably do an animation event. Um, so whenever the animation, when it shows him hitting a tree, you could trigger the sound that way, but this was already set up, so I just used the timing on it. I did loop the sound. Then I had to figure out what the repeat time would be. I think I got it pretty close. Um, and one thing on these up here is when you start swinging the axe, you want to make sure look at target, which I don't even think it works because, like I said, it's a tree, not a mob. But you do want to have interrupt when moving on. Same way on the axe chop because you don't want it to stop in the middle. So then we come down here to uh, the next one I put on here. And on the tree falling, I put an activation. Remember the harvest, I set it for 8. So you can have stuff all the way up to 8 uh, to start to kick off a coordinate effect. Anything after that will not fire because it's already destroyed. So you got to try to get everything in that you can, and I found that it's not possible with the way the code's written right now, but I did find a way around it. So anyway, activation is 7, so it pretty much syncs up. So when he stops chopping, I think he's got one chop when the tree starts to fall, but it looks all right. And you do want to destroy that when it's finished. And then here's where you put your animation tree falling, and then I just put a sound in there. And then I did the tree shake the same way. Put an activation delay of 0.2. That way, when he starts swinging the axe and hits the tree, then it starts. And I think I got it synced up pretty decent. And then these are just the other ones that I was playing around with, which I don't even have on. So that takes care of the coordinate effect for lumbering. And just make sure you've got that on your server and you restart your server when you make that. But the good thing about it is once you have that coordinate effect made, you can still be playing in a game and add these scripts and do different things. And you don't have to keep restarting the server. You can test everything that way. All right, so that takes care of that. So we got our resource node with our harvest effect. And make sure you got a collider on the tree. I just put a mesh on it. And then there's your animator. Um, and I'm not even sure if you have to have this animation on there. I put it on there just to be sure, but I don't think it's using this. I think it's using the actual controller. And then here is a few scripts that I had to write to get everything working. This is a get position script, and I'll show you in a minute how it works. Pretty much the cut logs, you don't have to worry about that, but the logs, I have a script on each log, and it's called get position, set position. So basically what it does is whenever the tree is standing and the logs, I'll show you in a minute what I'm talking about. When the logs are in the tree, um, it gets the vector 3 of that position and it saves it in a variable. So like when you chop the tree down, um, and you want to have a rigid body on these too, and this is the setting I've got. This seems to work the best. But if you do have a rigid body on it and its chromatic is true, they're going to sit still and they're not going to go anywhere. But when the tree animation hits that -80 and disappears, you want the logs to fall. So you take this is chromatic, you set it to false, so the logs fall and they roll and look pretty and everything. But when the harvest effect's over with, the logs disappear, but they're in a position where they were at. So whenever it starts over and you chop the tree down, and when the tree starts falling again, the logs are wherever they were all over the world. Didn't look right. So that's what this position thing does. It gets the variable, or it sets a variable of the vector 3, and then this script puts them, it sets them back. I'll show you. And I can put these scripts in a Dropbox and you can download them, or some people don't like to download stuff, people they don't know, or you can just, I can leave this up if you want me to, and you can just write these scripts out however you want to do it. But these are real simple scripts, but I probably spent about 5 hours on each one because I am not a coder. Can y'all still hear me? Okay, I just wanted to kind of explain this a little bit, but like I say, I can put these in a Dropbox, or I guess I could probably just post them on the uh, in Discord or something. Might be for you just copy and paste it that way. I could probably do that. Okay, so now I'm getting lost where I was at. Okay, and then this is an object holder. Um, this here is where the stump's going to go at. So in your animation, um, in one animation, it's going to activate the stump, and then in the other animation event, it's going to deactivate it. Um, so I think it'd be best if I went, probably if I just went into, okay. So here's the logs, and all I've done is, just made me a log prefab, and I think I put 4 in the pine tree. And you want to kind of keep them up a little bit, so when the tree does fall, they don't fall through the ground. Um, and you can just hide them in the mesh, but they're not going to be seen because they're not even going to be active until the tree hits that -80. Um, and then they're going to be activated and fall. So, I mean, hell, they could be anywhere. And this is another particle effect that I done. Again, I took, I think I had one that had um, feathers that came out, and I just played around with the settings on it. I think it still says feather mat and didn't change the name of it, but I just put pine needles in it. So if I go here, I could probably show you a lot better. Can y'all see my game screen? This It looks like it's really laggy to me. I'm not sure how y'all are seeing it on y'all's end. All right, can y'all see my screen now that I've got the animator up, or the animation screen up? I'm looking at the the Twitch preview, and it still shows me opening it up. So I'm not sure. It's driving me crazy. Okay, so basically, here's my end result for the tree falling. Uh, like I showed you, I had the rotation on it. So, and you can see in the screen, if I get my mouse right, the tree's going to fall over. Let me move this down so you can see it. And when it hits here, those logs are going to fall out. So this is where you're deactivating it right there when it hits -80. You can see the Conifer Desktop Resource Node LOD0 is deactivated. And then you can see when the tree is standing, uh, I've got the cut logs are deactivated. I probably could have deactivated the rigid body too, but it doesn't really matter because they're not going to be active. And then my pine needles, all I did is I took the pine needles, I put 6 of them up there because I have plans on putting different things to fall out besides just pine needles. And I just put them kind of at the bottom of the tree here. Uh, so when you start chopping it, they'll start falling. So that's pretty much all for the tree falling, um, except for, what is that, the run mode. Right here at the start, it says run position. That's the um, that's what I'm calling uh, when that tree is standing to get the vector 3 of those logs. So it stores them in that variable. That way, whenever your coordinated effect and your harvesting is over with, when it stands back up, it takes those logs, deactivates them, and then gets their vector 3 and puts them, or it gets the variable and puts them back in the tree where they were at. It took me for fripping ever to figure that out. Yeah, Marlock, you can freeze the X, Y, Z axis in the rigid body. You can make those logs do whatever you want to. I just I just try to play around with it to get it kind of the best effect. I'm sure you could do a lot better, but yeah, you can definitely freeze constrain the way the logs go. So that's the tree falling, and then the tree standing. Uh, I went ahead and just put all the same variables in that I had uh, when it was falling. Um, then here's this is for the stump. So when the tree is standing, the stump is not active. So you can have a bigger stump at the position of the tree if you want to, and you don't see it until the tree's chopped down. And then I've got the logs are deactivated when it's standing too. They don't activate until they hit -80. And also the pine needles, you don't want them activated either while it's standing. So pretty much when the tree is standing, everything is off. So that's a good thing about this animation is you can just write a little small script, or you don't even have to really write scripts. You can just add this stuff here, and animation will run all this stuff for you. I had no idea until I started really looking into it. So then the tree shake, um, I made sure the cut particles were in here, and they were off because I had an issue with them falling out of the tree, and I figured out I had to do this. So when the tree starts shaking, you want the pine needles to be activated, so they start falling and everything. So one thing I got to figure out is like on my stumps, you can't really have them parented to your tree because once the harvest effects is over with and you harvest, you deactivate that. So the stump was deactivated. So I had to make it outside by itself, and I just put them all nice and neat. Each one coincides with each one of these. But the thing about it is, once you put your tree out there, you've got to take the stump and put it with the tree, which all you got to do is just copy the transform and just paste it. But I'm going to write a script that'll put it out there. Um, and I'm going to write all this up too in a document because I know I don't explain stuff very well. So anyway, we'll go back to the game, and I got to figure out, I got to turn the shadows off on my trees because something ain't working right here. I don't know if you can even, wish my light was better. I'm going to restart the game so I get better light. So I got my day-night cycle running, so I got to change my loading screen. I've changed my landscape since then. I've got the vegetation studio and CTS and all that stuff. It's amazing. I want to get that Centera or whatever you call it, makes paths and stuff. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna chop this tree down. Lighting still ain't all that great. What the heck? Oh, that's better. Okay, so I got my particles coming off like I'm chopping a tree. It's shaking. I got my pine needles falling. Tree falls, and then we got a stump, which I think I can do better on the stump, but I wish I could figure out how to get the tree to fall a different way. I think it looks pretty good so far, but I'll put these scripts on Discord and try to write a document that you can follow because I'm not a good teacher. So I think I'm going to start working on rocks next, and then I've got some big ideas for fishing. Um, do a lot of visuals for fishing. But I don't know if y'all made any sense out of this or not. But like I said, I'll put the scripts on Discord, and then I'll write a document up um, on how the scripts work and where they're supposed to go and everything. Yeah, Laura, I'm using Visual Studio or Vegetation Studio now. I picked it up, I think it was last weekend. I got that, CTS, and then I got his dynamic mountain trees or something like that. And then I got his foliage pack too. I spent way too much money last weekend. But my frame rate went from 40 up to about 68 or 70, and I've not even got visual vegetation studio all set up right yet. The Sing doesn't use what, Laura? Oh, yeah, I was wondering that too, and that's what I was saying. I don't even have Vegetation Studio set up yet. There's a way to, I think you make a vegetation pack, and I think it actually runs faster. It spawns everything out of that pack that you create, and I'm pretty sure you can interact with the objects that come out of that. So, and I know he has a uh, where he can spawn the colliders on each item. So I don't think there'd be too much issue with it. I think we can figure it out. Yeah, I've got Vegetation Studio in this scene. I've got my lighting. I'm using what am I using? I've got all the packs. Is it Unistorm? I think I'm using Unistorm, and I've got the day slowed down and some of the features turned off because I got tired of it getting dark when I was trying to play around with it. So I need to turn that back on. It looks a lot better. Oh, attaching the animation to his trees. Well, you just take the prefab that you're using and just set it all up, just like I did this. And then when you use his spawner, you've got your trees and rocks everywhere already. You don't have to hand place them. The only thing I could figure out is like the stumps, since they're not part of it. But I could probably just spawn them at the same location. Um, I haven't had a chance to really look at it, but from reading and stuff, I think it's possible. Be a lot better than going through and hand putting your resource nodes out. Yeah, the same seed should put it out as long as you got yeah, the same seed should work. And then you could take and like have special trees like cedars or something spawn in a different location uh, by the angle and all that stuff. So it's pretty powerful. Um, and one thing about the tree chopping I got set up is I've tested it and everything is synced across the network. From the pine needles to the logs coming out of the tree. So it's going to be visible between all the players. And I think it's a local coordinated effect. So say if you just spawn in and it's already started, you won't see it, which, I mean, that's no big deal. Well, when you get ready to try it, just let me know. I'll be glad to help you out because I'm sure I've probably didn't explain it the best in the world. But I think with the scripts and everything, you could probably set up a prefab in about probably 10, 15 minutes now. And heck, once you get it set up, that it's done. You just spawn it wherever. I'm really hoping that Killerson and everybody gets uh, the building working better. I've got it pretty good. I've built this cabin and some stuff, but it's if he gets the building stuff working, I'll be happy. But All right, well, I'm going to jump off here and I'll put those scripts on Discord, um, and then I'll try to get a document typed up uh, to go along with them tonight. But like I say, when you get ready or whoever gets ready to start doing it, uh, I'm always on Discord, so I'm more than happy to help. Oh, you're very welcome, Laura.